Oh, speak of the devil. Speak of the devil. I see it.
Oh, go get it.
Go get it.
Go get
Go
it.
get it.
Now he went outside. I had the window cracked open. I see him crawling on the screen. Okay. That's the end of that.
All right.
You can sleep tonight.
I can sleep tonight comfortably. I'm playing video games all night. Yeah.
Yeah, we got to do that tonight because I heard
I
there's
was gonna
some
say, if you
missions
still
that
have
drop
that
tonight.
spray bottle, what you could do, you can use vinegar.
Vinegar.
Yeah, vinegar. Vinegar. We used to do it back in the day. All bugs
kills them?
they can't stand the smell of it. It's a
Just like
natural
me.
deterrent.
Oh.
I hate vinegar smell to this day.
So if you want, at some point you can spray that window, the outside, they'll
The
keep them from
outside.
coming in. You could also spray the inside, so if they were inside, they'll want to get out.
Ooh. Okay.
You can spray your sinks at night and your like appliances, the exterior, like your toaster, because they like to eat the crumbs and whatever's in the toaster.
Mm-hmm.
So
See how
your
jumpy I am?
microwave.
There was an advertisement that was moving on my screen and I jumped. You see what I'm saying? This is
Roaches will do that, man. They will clear out a room.
Hold on, let me I could turn my thing back the normal way. Hold on, give me a second. Because I had it like right in the room.
I remember in high school, in the locker room got cleared out. They were like, "Yo, there's a giant roach in there." So the whole football team jumped out and ran out.
Sound like a bad Arnold running away.
It took an old black man to go in there and go slap the roach with his sandal.
I still can't
Everybody
do that to
feel
this
safe.
day.
It was either an island dude or an African
do it.
dude. Or an
Yeah.
older dude. That-
Island dude.
I still can't do
Old
it.
school Bahamian.
You see?
There you
Combination.
see, yep.
There you go.
Mhm.
And while he beating it, he talking to y'all. Y'all scared of this thing? This guy right here is like, wow,
You know
see?
what? I seen that one time where a dude smacked a roach with his bare hand and killed it.
Oh,
I was
nah,
like,
nah.
oh.
You savage.
You talking about JJ?
I wasn't gonna say any names, but nah, he didn't do it. It was somebody else. Nah, I wish it was.
It would likely be JJ.
Okay, so JJ. Okay, I love JJ, but I hate him at the same time. This little dude. Okay, we're 12. No, maybe even younger. Maybe 7 to 10 years old. This dude. So I had this pants that's just been like the string was long and it's tickling my leg all day. So I've become immune to it. This little guy throws a roach on me. I didn't even know. And I thought it was the string just dangling on my leg, right? But this time it's going up. So I'm like,
that's strict control, right? JJ.
All you see is them behind me laughing on the floor, just crying. So I'm sitting there jumping around, like I finally because I'm not even exaggerating. I'm jumping around just frantically. It falls off of me. I'm sitting there. I run outside. Literally, I waited until my dad was ready to leave the house because we were visiting the house. I waited till he visited the house, almost an hour outside. I just can't do it. I just can't do it. I will move out of a place if it has roaches. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Can't do it.
Melissa, notorious for throwing. Who throws roach? Who picks some shits up and throws
Who
it?
picks them up?
Who? Yeah, JJ
crazy
Melissa,
ass
love
cousin.
ya. Shout out. Can't wait till they come on the podcast. You're gonna have a riot once they come on.
Oh my god, what foolishness! Too funny.
Oh, so did you guys hear what happened with Simone Biles and the reason why she was stepping down for her mental health?
Yeah, her aunt passed away.
Yeah.
When did
Everybody was being a jerk. Huh?
When did she pass?
During the Olympics.
Yeah.
Oh, so during her I guess before she had the issue, the twisties. That's what was
Hmm.
also going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm.
So that might have caused the twisties,
Oh really?
like, having her the
His mental
trauma,
state.
getting the news, feeling
Okay.
off.
A combination of things going on at the same time, and
I
Hmm.
tried to tell a certain somebody who I was speaking to about it. I was like, "See, everybody's talking about, oh, she's a this, she's," and it's like, and they even try to dismiss that. They were like, "How you know she was close with her aunt?" I'm like, "Now you questioning people's
Mm-hmm.
familial relationships? Give me a
I was
break."
gonna say that if somebody could have a stance, is like, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish your thing. Finish your thing.
No, that was it. I was like, "Come on, man. This whole you better do it or else you're whack." It's like, how you know if she wasn't close? Because I know people who were real close with their aunts, and it's like that could
Mm-hmm.
have been like, because I believe she's adopted. What if this was the actual family member that she had a connection with? That's like, yo, she
Even
was
if
the
it was
closest
not,
thing to
they
a
could have
mom.
grew up with this lady.
Yeah, something. I'm not saying they had to be besties,
Yeah.
but you can't just be dismissive like, that's just an excuse for her to quit. And that's like, yo, she didn't have to tell anybody that. Like, why would so?
And she came back and won two more competitions, so they could put a sock in their mouth. Now go away.
Facts.
And
You
that's the
know.
thing with those types of people, and they have this entitled mentality, especially when they're projecting onto another group. Like, do as I say, the shut up and dribble type of people.
Shut
So
up and dribble.
one of those, and it's like, man, shut up, okay? Yeah, she ain't gotta explain nothing to nobody. She's in the damn Olympics, blowing minds and breaking records. Kiss her ass, and that's it.
You know who else is explaining things out there?
Hmm.
The baby. He's expressing himself fully out there on stage
The
too.
baby.
So, anybody want to go into that one?
Man, he ain't expressing nothing. His publicist is
Exactly.
expressing and making
Yep.
it sound like it's him.
The pockets
No.
got light. That's what
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah. Them concert cancellations was like, all right, buddy, you need to,
Yeah.
okay.
Because you could tell even with his post, I think the day before he was just he posted him eating some fruit, just chilling like unbothered or something like that. I
Yeah.
was like,
Hmm.
Yeah.
you're not.
He
He's
was
like, yeah, you just
taunting.
want the money back. Your publicist is trying to, recoup your money, because they know they go down if you go down, so
It's
they're
not
trying to.
even the publicist is probably from the record company
Mhm.
trying to salvage what they can. And he's, throwing it all away, thinking he big and bad and wrong and strong, like I like to say.
Wrong and strong for real.
And yo, it's really gonna hurt him hard, and he's not gonna understand it until he ends up just being able to book strip clubs.
Ladies and
So
gentlemen, right after Peppermint, we got DaBaby. God dang.
With
So
60-year-old stripper. Name
Shout out to Pep. So-
and then that's really what it's gonna take for him to be like, all right, I'm gonna change up. But by that time, it's too late.
yeah.
I
That's
don't
why I was
know.
like, yo, you better take that hand they handing you and climb out of this ditch you put yourself in. If
I'm
they
so
sitting
surprised.
there telling you they want to give you some training and they want to work with you, they trying to save you.
That was new. I
I'm
never heard of that
surprised
before.
at that, because the way he was so wrong and strong and arrogant about it, like hours before that statement, it's like I'm shocked. I'm shocked that they're even willing to come rescue him at this
because
point,
they
unless
like him.
unless they got a lot of money on him for some reason and they don't want to. I think he's
I
adjacent
think
to
the
other
image
people.
of everybody gets tarnished in this because
Okay, people
even
that work
the
for him.
gay community, going ahead and putting up a stand and saying no, people come at the gay community like why y'all got to come after the baby and
Mm,
why y'all coming after black men like that. And
mm,
that argument always comes up anytime a black man does something messed up. Why y'all coming at the black men like that? Why
mhm.
don't y'all come at some of these other people out here? No, the baby really messed up. He was
Yeah,
horrible. He said some cruel
You
things.
didn't have to say what, yeah, that was completely
saying
unnecessary.
if you're not gonna
Like,
die in 3 weeks, that's some asshole shit. That you don't do that.
yeah, just How the fellas doing tonight? How the
Yeah,
ladies doing tonight?
yeah,
Everybody feeling it? Next song. Bam, 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 bam. And then that's it.
Keep it
Just
simple, keep going.
it doesn't take much. You can't mess that up, guys.
yeah. But I'm surprised that they're willing to, because even though he got some pop hits under his belt now, just now, he's still pretty expendable in the grand scheme of things as far as like having industry clout is concerned. So I'm surprised that they're kind of cleaning this up. So I'm guessing they've invested too much. Somebody behind him does not want to
Lose
lose
that
that money,
investment.
because
I'm a
I
fan
can't
of the
imagine
baby.
why
Yep.
they
That's
would
what
One
I
of
throw him
said.
this
me.
bone, and why throw him this bone this early when everybody sees right through it.
Yeah, they didn't let him like simmer a little bit.
Not
Let
even
him think
no.
about what he did. Not because
Yeah,
usually it's at least a month or so before they. It was
because
literally
yeah.
a weekend.
the outlash was so fast. It wasn't
Yeah.
like, okay, it was one show and then a month later another show said no. It was like a dozen shows in
Back to
like a
back to
couple
back.
days.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of checks you just missed out on, because it's not like they paying you peanuts. We talking, you gonna make, maybe
Probably
50,
make
100 grand off this
maybe
show.
I
Dude is probably making 300 off of the tours. Let's be real, because those tours are going for a lot more with those types of crowds. With those are
yeah.
Right. So
generating
you're
a
looking
lot
at
more money.
100, 300,000, a show,
a
Yep.
show.
and like 10 of them just canceled.
Yeah, that's a lot of
Yep.
money. That's a
Yeah.
Yeah.
year's worth of bread right there.
You
Mhm.
tell them you can't say sorry.
So
So
DJ Academics, he had said he had put in a post. He said he found it weird that festivals are putting out these weird statements, about humanity, but they're still supporting artists that are talking about drugs and murder in their music. You know, uh, where does that line between the festival, being we are the people that are trying to help promote this. We want to cancel these people because of the lyrics of what they're saying for the entertainment. So where does that line for
um,
entertainment and being deferred? Where do you get that separation?
I think this is a conflating of two different kinds of things.
Yeah.
Not saying that what he said is not valid, because it's very true. You can't be, yeah, peace and love and everything, but you got dudes singing about flipping packs and shooting people, and it's like, this is great. And no, it is not great. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But and it all depends on exactly like you said, who's promoting it. If like Lollapalooza, I think Lollapalooza or Woodstock or something, one of these things now where it's like it's founded off brotherhood and friendship, and then all your artists are like little X Money Killer Daddy. You know what I'm saying? It's like that doesn't really coalesce. I don't understand how you chose this artist to represent your festival, and so on
but
and so forth.
it becomes difficult to go ahead and find artists that are at the same caliber of the artists in like those said festivals that
Yeah.
are big and popular in the black community, because we do not support those artists anymore.
Mm-mm.
As a community overall, we don't push those artists. Who was the last time you went to one of those festivals and they're like, all right, next up to the stage, Kim.
Big.
Oh, baby,
I love
we're gonna
them.
sing about positivity.
Like, everyone's
Those
walking
festivals
right
get
out.
love, but they're smaller. They're smaller, but speaking of festivals, I do
Kim.
want to mention, if people are interested, please check out Questlove's documentary on the Soul Festival. I had no idea it was bigger than Woodstock and never talked about. Check that out.
Is
It's
that the thing on
incredible.
Hulu?
Yes, it is incredible. The Summer of
I
Soul.
keep put. You know what? Tomorrow, I'm
Check
off. I'm
that
gonna.
out.
I'm gonna watch it.
Especially if you
I'm
like
gonna watch
art, if you love the history of black music and black artists, check that out. It is worth seeing. Bigger than Woodstock, never mentioned. Please see it.
Okay.
it.
But
Wow.
anyway,
I want to take to that point that Reg was saying about the stars. Me and my girl were talking about this. We always talked about this. They stopped making stars out of people. Usually like Aaliyah. Of course she went through her stuff, but there was like a making of a star. You would follow her career through. These artists now are just like, hey, I'm here now. All right, bye. And then they're just rinse and repeat, and it keeps going. Like there's nobody that has substance anymore
I'll
that
tell
you
you
kind of
why.
grew up with.
I'll
social
tell you
media.
why, and I'll break it down to what it was something that happened in the '90s, in the late '80s, more like the early '90s when gangster rap started popping up. And I don't know if y'all remember when when the black community really stepped in and had that kind of hold and power to go ahead and stop certain things from happening. It was usually through the church, where if you messed up and the black community didn't like it, the church would step up and stop certain things. One of the things that they tried to stop back then in the early 90s, if y'all don't remember, was gangster rap. And
Mhm.
they were trying to put a stop to it because they felt that it was a bad representation of black folks overall. They didn't want it on the radios. They felt like the message wasn't, inclusive. It was very misogynistic. It celebrated this gang and thug life and all kinds of things that they did not want to go ahead and put out there. And they felt that that was, our business, our dirty business that should have been put to the side. And they didn't want that to be the forefront of the representation of what black people were to society. And they completely lost. They lost. And even as a kid, I felt that they were wrong as a kid. But as an adult, you realize now, like, oh my God, what did we do so many years ago? We allowed them to go ahead and push this stuff. So now that stuff is mainstream, completely mainstream. We don't even hear the regular stuff out there anymore. If you're an artist and you have another message besides that, they're not going to push you as an artist. You might not even get signed. You're not going to see that mainstream revenue that these other artists that are pushing those kinds of messages is getting. And unfortunately, it started there. Not only did we lose that because the church decided never again would they going to go ahead and get involved in this and push that. They just decided, okay, y'all do that over there, we'll do this over here. And they've created their own sector of gospel music, gospel movies, gospel rap, and everything else to kind of seclude themselves away from the negative stereotypes and stuff that's happening over here. And unfortunately, it's gotten so popular and so big as a machine that they do recycle. They just, whatever that artist gets used up or too drugged up to perform anymore, boom, they just drop them. A new one comes in. The baby's gonna be gone. Guess what? The toddler's coming soon. After the toddler, you're gonna get the little adolescent,
Mm. Little
then the
Tate,
little
that was the name.
teenager. It's coming. And unfortunately, that's just how it's gonna go until somebody says, "Hey, just like all the other communities, and this is true of any of these other communities that will put a stop to it and say, no, we're not gonna play that no more. We don't want that representing." They'll let you play those songs at any of these festivals because hey, that's what the blacks like to listen to. All right, let's go ahead and let the blacks play their music. You know,
And let's
but
get
they
that
know
money.
that the minute the black person says, "All right, now let's kill Whitey," they pulling the
Mm.
plugs, they kicking over the speakers. It's done. You done. You finished. It's
Party
over.
over.
But what you
Party's
will
done.
see in the
You say,
festivals,
Yeah.
no,
"Go
go
ahead."
ahead, finish it. No, I was gonna say
Okay.
what you see in most of the festivals are, the other complexion nowadays. It's no longer just a one culture thing nowadays. You're seeing
Mhm.
mostly is a
Because
lot
of
of
the
a lot of
prices for those tickets.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
prices for those
mm,
tickets for those festivals.
seven
Of course, you're not
hundred
going to see black
dollars
people there.
2 3 days, and you got to fly out to wherever it's at, book a hotel. It's
mm,
like I'm
Yeah.
not
The
going to this
whole trip.
festival. Yeah,
That's a lot of money to go ahead and spend on some of these artists. But you know what? Those white people do have that money. They have that money to go ahead and spend. They can go ahead and have that to go do that. So they'll go. And the message is, from these rappers is that they essentially, I'm going to poison my own streets. I'm going to disrespect my own women. Of course they'll listen to that. It's not their women.
mm,
I, I'm gonna counter. Not. I don't disagree with you, but I feel like
Hmm.
I feel like there's more levels to it because nihilism has always been attractive to people, no matter what group there is. It always has been from since the turn of the century. That's why speakeasies was popping back in the day. That's why casinos and brothels will never go away It's like that will always exist. And I think with black people is a combination of like that rebellious culture because they live in a very oppressive society. The bad guy is their champion because you know what? He's not trying to be the pious Negro. He's the badass. He says F the law, so we root for that. And even with white people, who was popping back in like the turn of the century? It was Billy the Kid. Who the hell was it? Who's the other one that used to rob trains? Bonnie and Clyde, all that kind of crap. That outlaw mentality. That's a human thing. That's not
Stick it to the
necessarily
man.
stick it to the man, the badass, the bad guy, F the system kind of thing. Even though the ones, F the system means different things in different circles and it changes, it ebbs and flows. Like sometimes F the system means we're fighting a war. Sometimes F the system means we don't care, we want to have sex and we're not gonna be oppressed by church. Fuck y'all. Excuse my language, bleep that. But you know what I'm saying? So it changes. And even with black music, blues was very raunchy back in the day. That came out of the church. And then you went to doo-wop, which was very clean and cut, and then rock and roll came in. That came out of black people too. And then soulful music. It always shifts back and forth. And even with like gangster rap, it came out of the disco. Well, not excuse me, I'm jumping ahead, but like rap came off of disco. Disco's very not is fun and poppy, but there was a very freaky nihilistic side of disco, wild sex and drugs, devil may care kind of attitude. And then in the 90s you get the creeping out of the breakdancing thing, you start to get into the gangster rap, and then it swung back again into the positive stuff of like Tribe Called Quest, Brand Nubian, all those types of groups, and then it switched back again. So you're gonna get this back and forth. It's gonna pivot back and forth, and even now, even in like say R&B, that's a little more level. Back in the 90s, R&B was about taking your clothes off and slow grinding and being freaky, and now it's not. Most of the R&B now people would think is tame and depressing compared to like Jodeci and all that stuff. People pivot all the time, so I don't think it's just specifically one thing. People's tastes change, but nihilism is always going to give a certain edge that people are attracted to. That's why teenagers like when they think they're adults, what's the first thing they do? They want to have sex and start cursing. They think that's what being an adult and a badass is. And it's more to that, but people are attracted to that side. And that's why I think that's part of the reason why black people, and not just black people, the white kids love it too. Rap is a new rock for them. If you listen to heavy metal, they saying wild ass stuff. Wild stuff. They're saying the same stuff DaBaby is saying. Go listen, go look at the chat. Whatever the message boards and they're saying the same stuff in a different way. So
Yep.
I don't know if it's like, I don't think it's just there's parts of what you say it factors in, but it's the audience at the end of the day. They're always going to be attracted to the outlaw, the rebel, the person that breaks the rules. Breaking the rules is going to look different from time to time, but when you really step back, it's not that much different, if that makes
Okay,
sense. You know what I'm
but
saying?
let's. I feel you, and,
And
and, and I get that.
and corporate sponsors are not a moral compass. They don't care. They're gonna go with what is making bank.
No.
They don't give a
Yeah.
damn.
They don't. They
If
don't
y'all
care.
like Jesus today, everybody's on the Christian bill today. If y'all
Mhm.
if hope popping your frontal areas and being crazy and shooting people is popping tomorrow, that's what's gonna be on the radio. Because we had tame stuff, syrupy, light stuff when that was the wave, and then they switch all the time. Like how do you, even the 90s, how do you go from Nirvana, dark heavy music to Spice Girls? You know that shit was only 2 years apart. When Spice Girls popped off, I think Kurt Cobain died in like what, 94, 95. Spice Girls was on the charts 3 years later. How do you make such a swing in such short time? Because people's tastes change. They change all the time. So this ain't going away. Now, as far as DaBaby, he's ignorant. People like that. They like the fact that he's taunting the status quo. He's taunting a particular group of people who are very powerful, and they feel like this is a type of rebellion, even though it's very stupid and ignorant what he's doing. But that's always going to appeal to people. That's not going away, and that's more than just, yes, we have our own internal cultural thing, but I think that's far more nuanced, and DaBaby reflects that. But as far as like festivals are concerned, I agree with academics to a certain point, but just like you said, Funzy, he's conflating shit. It's like, yo, they're always gonna go with the ignorant stuff if the kids like it, and kids like ignorant stuff, especially if they're being told to be good, behave, and go to school, yo, so the one that's saying, yo, F you, I'm gonna say crazy stuff, I'm gonna go be promiscuous, I'm gonna shoot people, I don't care, F the cops, or they're saying crazy stuff, they're gonna be gravitating towards it. That's not going away.
I absolutely agree with you.
Yeah.
However, in agreeing that with that, I think what's the problem? What made it so quick for him to get shut down is that the platform itself,
Mhm.
and the group that he attacked, they don't play that, and they're willing to go ahead and stand up and do that and
Yeah,
pull somebody down. And I think when I was making that reference, I think within the black community we have lost that strength and ability, and a lot of that came from the church. And in many ways, we were abandoned by the church because the church doesn't even associate with this stuff anymore. You
I
won't
don't think
find
they
the
ever
church
did.
out there. No, they did.
You know what?
When
Yeah, I
this
think
stuff
so.
started getting bad,
uh
that's when they went and they started protesting. You remember when they were burning Snoop Dogg CDs and stomping on them? They would go into record stores
I think
and
Uncle
stomp
Luke,
on them in the street.
Uncle
I
Luke
mean it
stuff.
more so like the church has always wanted to separate itself
No, that
from
that ultimately happened after they lost,
yeah.
and they started realizing that no, that didn't help. It only fueled the fire. So ultimately, after that, you saw a separation, a complete split, and they just said, "All right, well, we're gonna take our stuff and move all the way over here." That's where you started to see the development of just
I don't feel like that's
gospel
new.
radio stations. Like I said, everything shifted and
I
went
don't know.
over here.
I don't know. I don't feel like that's new, Reg. Because shoot, even there was a time where you couldn't play blues and be in the church. They
Right, but
they're
you know
always
what? They still were there, and they still had a lot of say in what was going on. But they started seeing ultimately that they could not stop it.
yeah.
So what they did instead was they embraced the rap instead, but they said, "Hey, you can rap, but you're gonna rap gospel, and you can come over here and make your money." And there are successful rappers and whatever that are over there doing their thing, but you won't see in the black community anybody stepping up and saying, "Hey, we're gonna stop this. We're shutting this down. You can't play this stuff in the black community anymore."
I
You're
think
not gonna hear the radio stations say, "Hey, we're gonna shut this down. We're not playing this on our black stations."
I
You
think
know
that's the
what?
worst thing you could do now.
That kind of solidarity is very. We need that.
Yeah.
Like,
And
in all
it's gone, and
it's
that's why, because of what happened back then. You won't find that solidarity anymore. Because the people, the players that did that, those black leaders, they were in the church. And the church only takes care of the church now. Now the stuff that we see on the TV, hey, this it's a free for all. Whatever you want to do, however you want to do it. And you can see every year it gets more and more outlandish and out there and whatever.
Yeah.
And there's no
It's like
stopping it.
y-
I think.
now that you say
Oh
that.
no, go
Oh, go
ahead.
ahead. Oh no, because now that you say that, as you say, there's no head to it. Like there's no leader. There's no real because we had at least people look up to Martin Luther King. So it's one person trying to make an idea, or Malcolm X,
True.
making an idea. Just going with that collective idea, and then so you would have people do as a collective, like agree on something. Yeah, as you said, we don't have that anymore. That power is gone. Because
and on top of
look at
that,
Nick Cannon. Look at Nick Cannon when he said just a couple bad things about one certain group, and he was shut down the next day. You know what I mean?
They
So
Thanos his behind.
yeah, so
yeah,
it's nothing new.
Thanos his behind. They
Yeah.
So
took
it's
it all and there
nothing
was
new.
dust. It was a good two,
Exactly.
3 months of nothing.
Yeah.
Hmm.
The lobbying power is very weak amongst black people. That's a
And
fact. That is
Hmm.
an absolute
Yes.
fact. But I don't know if that
but
is going to be rooted in the church because a lot of people have criticism of the church with feelings that they're not welcoming, particularly in this instance with the baby kind of comments.
you've
Unfortunately,
noticed there
there's
has been
reputation.
no
There,
church comment on this.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's
there,
not the
True.
church that comments on it. And imagine if this was back in the 90s,
yeah,
the church would have been there. And ultimately, for years, The church has always been there to go ahead, especially the black church, to go ahead and comment on these things and say something.
Uh,
The black church now, it only serves a certain group. It does not care about what you're doing out here because that's none of their business now. We will just take care of our flock.
weren't
And
they
that's
like that?
ultimately what happened.
Weren't they
No,
like
they
that?
weren't like that because even that's what made. Here's what happened. When you
Yeah.
look at these old leaders back in the civil rights era,
Yeah.
they knew that what they were doing would benefit everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they were looking out for their people, but they knew that it would benefit everybody.
Trickle down.
Now, they are just going to take care of their people.
Yeah.
They're not worried about the trickle down now. They're keeping their money within the church people. That's it. They're not coming out, they're not stepping out and going to BET saying, hey, we noticed that this is not going to be progressive towards the whole community. They're not worried about that no more. We have our own channel. Black people that want to be on that can watch that, and y'all can just sit over there and do whatever y'all doing over here. But our flock is going to be taken care of.
Wow.
And ultimately, the reason why I brought it up in that way to look at this whole DaBaby perspective is because I believe DB sent me, or was it maybe it was DB, about a message or response that came from a guy from the gay community, black gay community, and he was upset and he completely went off, and he was talking about how it's unfortunate that we have to deal with people like DaBaby that go ahead and say these things in this hurtful way, and he felt he was attacked. He felt completely frustrated, as being with him being a gay black man and being attacked in that way, and he felt that it should have been stopped.
Funny thing, you bring up the church. I was gonna make a point with the church does not have a great history of advocating for LGBT people, and especially not within the community. They don't have a great history of that at
You're
all.
right, and they
So
won't
I
come
would
for
doubt
they
that they would be the ones to say, "Hey, do better, do anything
for
in this
this
regard."
particular scenario where he went off in that way. No, they wouldn't be in that. But the way that he has been acting in other incidents, or in the messages that have been in some of the songs, they, if it was the '90s, they would have said something.
I'm,
But
I'm
unfortunately, they've moved and shifted in a whole different direction where they're not even going to look over here to come deal with this.
I feel
And it has to be on our own moral conscience to go ahead and deal with this, just like we dealt with R. Kelly. You know,
Moral
barely.
you
conscience
notice
2021. That's that.
who's still playing R. Kelly on the radio?
Who's playing R. Kelly in their house
Yeah, they playing his.
willingly?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
And
can't
that's
listen
that.
to him anymore. But I stopped
can't.
years ago after the first again when it first
Now,
broke
now,
out.
now, check this out. Who still listens to Michael?
Why you gotta do this? You're not gonna do this to me, all right? You're not gonna do it.
But people can always say like it wasn't proven. So
You gonna be
What you
starting?
mean it wasn't proven?
he was acquitted twice
Listen, listen.
in the
If
court
you
of
put a
law.
Ferris wheel in your backyard and you ain't got
Speculation.
no kids,
If we're gonna say
and
lawyers,
you want me to
I'm not
believe that you didn't
disagreeing with
touch
you,
any of them
but
kids?
in the black and white of things, it's speculative now. It was not proven.
Speculative? You have
It
little
was not
animals
proven. Two cases, two
and cotton
federal cases.
candy. Who's eating cotton candy after 30?
Speculation. It's all speculation.
You know what? Just to counter that point, tomorrow I'm gonna go eat some damn cotton candy, okay, and enjoy it, and be like,
I eat it when the carnival's in town. And listen, I'm not saying he is or isn't, but he was not found in the court of law to be guilty.
How many black men do you know in their 30s is walking around hand in hand with white boys?
One, Michael Jackson. But yeah, before we end up having an uneditable session, let's give DB a break. Give my good brother a break here.
Oh.
Cut that out.
while we're talking while we're talking about some
Alrighty.
artists, you know, we got to witness something on Tuesday night, some greatness on stage. You know, we got to see Dipset get kind of murdered. I mean Dipset versus yeah.
This is like double
So
homicide.
who wants to go into it? We got three people that are from New York. You know, go ahead. I'm gonna let y'all take it. Go ahead.
Who can do the Jadakiss laugh? What is
first of all, shout out to both groups because that was
Word.
phenomenal. That's easily one of the top three best verses
For real.
or hip hop moments ever. But yeah, unfortunately, as a big Dipset / Cameron fan, that was a massacre. They were completely unprepared. Somebody, I can't remember who posted this on one of the under the comments, but somebody said Dipset came to be honored. The Locks came to perform.
Yeah.
And it showed because Dipset Cameron had the chair. He was chilling. They came late. You know, Jewels was like, yo, I'm gonna throw on some stuff that I probably look like I would have worn back in 03, 02. And then, get people's nostalgic feels going. And then it was like, yo, how about you remember your lyrics, bruh? How about you?
Man.
You know what I'm saying? Like, let's go. And Freaky Zeke was embarrassing me. All right, this is your man's. Oh yeah, no, Freaky Zeke's cool, but oh my god. But shout out to Jadakiss. It was purely New York energy. Just everybody, screaming at each other. It was like nothing's really gonna go down. At some point, I can't front. I thought something was gonna go down. Okay, it was a little too much pushing.
It was real bullying there.
Words are cool, but people starting to put hands on each other.
Kicking style.
feet.
Get off my shoes. Get off my shoes.
Caught the 300 kick.
Yo, for real, the
I was a little
300.
concerned.
Well, Jim Jones 300 fell into that damn pit.
What's going on with Jim? What's going on with
The
Jim?
Empire Life got messed up. The pants was too tight, like Jada said.
The leather pants, yeah.
Yo,
Not losing
Like,
to nobody.
I ain't better than no nigga.
Jadakiss was like, yo, is this a new song?
Oh,
Jada's mouth
Yeah.
his quips on top of that freestyle was ridiculous.
Michael
one
Buffer
thing-
doing the
That is
intro.
one thing I can say. New York people, like, y'all have the quickest tongue. Yo, like, I didn't even come for y'all today. Like, all I did was just come to visit. Why are you coming for my life? Leave me alone, please.
I wish I had more of that. Snappy.
Just on your feet, just quick. Why?
It was fantastic. But yo, Jewel's dead ass. Y'all don't know if y'all remember that store, Jimmy Jazz. You remember? Any of y'all remember? Oh no, y'all see. There's a store. It's basically like a.
Oh, the store, yeah.
So basically, Jewel's dead ass had Jimmy Jazz vomit all over him, and he walked onto the stage. It's the equivalent of them urban stores that those black stores where they sell black people clothes. I was like, yo, what in 2003 is happening here? My God.
The do-rag hat, sun visor, bandana.
And the cap.
Oh, man, that was...
He grabbed the bandana from him and he just threw it on the floor.
Oh, that hurt my soul. That hurt my soul. I was like, we lost.
Oh my God. And the DJ wasn't on point. The one thing, the Locks, they had synergy for real. Because the DJ for Dipset, I was like, yo, what's going on? It's like they're bangers. He just wasn't dropping them right. And it's like their sound was off. They wasn't jumping into the song correctly. I was like, oh my God, execution people.
When they did crunk music, as their second song, I'm like, why would you do this now? And then they were off beat. And then I was like, you know what? Wait till Old Boy or Hey Ma comes on. You're going to get it. By that point, it was too late.
Fizzled. It was crazy.
Jadakiss freestyled all over their asses. He's whipping them to death. Jim Jones fell off the stage. Okay. I'm like, yo, there's nothing. Y'all already lost. By the time Hey Ma and Old Boy, I mean, of course I was singing it, but it was like, it's a wash. The Locks got it. It was weaving it. It looked like I don't even know. They looked rehearsed and polished. You remember the Get Down when they were
Mm-hmm.
doing that? And then the three brothers and the four mic, and it was like it looked like that
Yeah.
basically. Okay, they weren't out
Instinct.
of breath. Oh, so it was wonderful to see them.
Locks came to
If you
disrespect.
ever had questioned what the locks were,
Yes.
or had a, if you're like, nah, Dipset is gonna have this in the bag because they always flash and they were cocky, and we
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
kind of love that style.
yeah,
The locks showed you,
Yep.
and they held a clinic.
Yeah.
What it's all about.
They
They
did.
held a
literally,
clinic.
Oh.
literally.
Yeah, they
No
and it
flashy
reminded
camera.
me of all their stuff. They had so many hits that I haven't heard in years now, and I was like, "Oh,
There,
right, that was
there was
the one."
actually Diddy had wrote that he had wrote a couple lyrics for him for a couple songs. So
Jada wrote
who
for
knew
him.
Jadakiss? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, Jadakiss. So who knew? I didn't even know his like I knew his pen skills were good, but I didn't know he was ghostwriting for people. You know what I mean?
that
So
makes sense though.
lately, I'm just finding out so many people have been ghostwriting for other people, like Jay writing for other people. It's like what? Oh, it makes sense. I do hear him a little bit in that. So it's just like,
Yeah,
holy crap, this is what's been going on for years. This is why people hate ghostwriters. I don't know, like,
No, they hate people who use ghostwriters.
oh,
Yeah,
use ghostwriters. Okay,
mhm.
yeah, you have to have
hey,
your pen has to be
if
your
you got the
own.
skill,
Back in the day
yeah.
when there were standards in the rap music, but that doesn't
Drake,
exist
yeah,
anymore.
Mm.
Drake got exposed. And, oh, he has a ghostwriter. So I'm
Yeah.
still buying that album, Scorpion. It's like, oh, so y'all just said he couldn't rap. He write his own stuff, and I don't care. It's Drake.
Oh, wait, but Drake writes. He writes for other people.
Yeah.
He
Oh,
does write.
Yeah.
No, he writes. He
He
writes.
writes. He
okay.
writes.
I didn't know
I think it goes both ways with Drake. But Drake, to me, he's gonna have his naysayers and people talking crap about him. But Drake is solid. Is
that. No,
certified
he's a
to
star.
me.
He's a
It's
star.
like
He has
I
his
don't
own
care.
plane.
Yeah,
He can
Drake is
act.
certified to me.
Yeah.
But back to Jada. Jada is incredible. Give that man
Yes.
his
So
flowers. He deserves it.
Yep.
so now
All of
when
the
we
locks.
look at an artist like Jada and we compare him to any of the artists that have been out for I don't know, the past 15 years,
Mm.
who can step up?
That has the prowess. Well, no, some of the other people I'm thinking of, they were out longer. Like Nas was out longer. Jigga was out longer.
I mean, but
That's
barely,
all Jada's era.
barely. Jada, the Benjamins. What year was that? 96, 97, and then
Hmm.
Reasonable
Nas
Doubt
was
was 95,
Jay Z's been
96.
kicking around since the '80s, technically.
Oh, Hawaiian Sophie. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
Nas was out in the early '90s. I think he recorded it was I with Illmatic in like '92,
Britain or Illmatic.
90. Yeah, I think it was like '92, and it dropped in
Oh,
'94. I
wow.
think
Yeah, dropping that.
Wasn't he like a
'91.
teenager when he dropped that?
1991. 1991. He wrote that.
Really?
Dropped and it went through the cycle of the labels and then it dropped in like what 92 because it was
94.
written 94. So
Yeah.
but it took longer to release music back then, so he was a child when he wrote that.
Crazy.
He's a
Wow.
baby. Yeah, so yeah, yeah, those guys have been kicking around for a long time. Because matter of fact, who was it? Nas remembers was a kid when Roxanne was out. That was like that's legit '80s, and
Hmm.
she was dealing with him. She knew him on the come up back then. So yeah,
Oh,
those guys are like 30 plus. Those guys. So who's
yeah,
the
nah,
15 plus would be like Fab. I haven't seen him perform recently, but Busta's 30 plus too.
but
Who's the
Buster was around with the leaders of the new school and with
That's what I'm
Tribe
saying.
Called.
He's 30
Yeah,
years.
that's
He's 30 years
90s.
in the
That's
game.
90s.
Yeah, that's 30
No,
years.
you
Anybody?
say
So we're looking at people that came out
2005,
in like 2000, 2005. By then, the New York wave
like
started to die.
D4L. That's what we're talking here.
Yeah, that's crunk era. That's when the crunk and that's when trap music really
Yeah,
started bubbling up. And then that was the last of the New York reign as far as being the leaders of rap. And then
hey,
because they were still in competition with the South in the late 90s, and then the South fully took over by like mid 2000s. So
I don't know who Jada. You know what? Honestly, I always knew Jadakiss was nice. In one of his songs, he said something like "never wrote a whack verse." I'm like, that's true. There's no
Jada,
whack
Jada,
Jada Kiss.
sorry,
verse. Nah, the guy got bars. Like he's always on point. He jumps on a bunch of remixes. You
Jada's
know, it's like he's consistent.
yeah, Jada's 20 plus. Jada's 20 plus years because if they were with Diddy in 96, then that means
97.
they were rapping early 90s and they finally got put on by then. They
Mm-hmm.
weren't just discovered. They were probably kicking around on the mixtape circuit. I don't know their history, so I'm not gonna pretend like I have knowledge. But more often than not, if they blew up and hit the radio at a 1 year, you can rest assured that they were grinding many years prior to that. So
Right.
Right.
Jadakiss is not a 15 year. He's a 20 plus guy at
So to
least.
give me a name, not even 10 years, since
10 years
2010, that could get up there and say, all right, I can
since
go
2010.
toe to toe with Jada.
Kendrick Lamar came out in like 2013, but he was around 2010 too in his mixtapes.
2005,
Yeah.
Good Kid, Mad
6.
City
Okay.
was 2013, and I think he had Section 8. That's like
Yeah,
2011.
he had a whole bunch of things. Yeah, he was
So
about
Kendrick,
28.
He's too new. I can't do it.
J. Cole is like mid 2000s.
Maybe he was
That
28. But
10
he can't.
year.
That
But he
08,
doesn't have that.
09, double
As
XL,
far
super
no, they can't go to toe to toe. J. Cole can't go toe
Yeah,
to toe.
no.
No,
No,
Nah,
that's
nah,
what I'm
nah,
saying.
nah.
Like,
Not at
no.
all. Not at all.
I'm just thinking about people
Respect
who
to
are.
I
J.
don't know who
Cole.
can go toe to toe. Yeah.
Yeah, respect to J. Cole, but
I like J.
I
Cole,
don't
but
know.
no. That's not the
Not to go to toe to
it's
toe.
not the
Not that.
same
Not
class.
that type of battle.
Yeah, it's
No.
nah, you can't get on no versus stage and
No,
hold it.
no.
I
nah.
guess that.
Damn, I have to sit
Dang,
and
I don't
think about
know.
that.
Yeah, that's really rough.
I think Jada would have to go toe to toe with his peers, like a Busta, because they're technically peers. They even though Jada may have debuted later, but like they're his peers. The Nas, Jay-Z, Bustas, they're his peers. They're of that same era. He just maybe debuted a couple of years later, but they're of the same class to me.
Jada would have had to have debuted at least 5 years later
To be
from Busta.
he did, yeah.
Because I
Leaders
think
of the News
Scenario debuted in 91,
one, yeah,
92.
yeah.
And Jada,
The Benjamins is like
I mean, and the
97.
Locks was like 95, 96.
Yeah, because they Biggie didn't die yet. Like yeah, because they were around
Yeah,
right
so it
before
would have been
Biggie died.
95, 96.
Yeah,
So 96, yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
No, it would have been 95 because 96 is where we had the beginnings of the East West Coast beef.
yeah, I would give it to Pop.
97 was when he passed.
Right.
That would be the only person I can think of right now that could
Yeah.
probably go toe to toe.
Mace can't. No, Mace was around
What's the scenario? Scenario was 92.
92.
92. So
So it would have to be Busta.
Busta. But then technically any one of them because Illmatic came out in 94. That's what I'm saying. Like Jada is in those classes. He just probably popped off on the radio a little later. But as far as people of a certain particular time, Jada is part of that Jiggy era now. He is.
the Jiggy,
Mhm.
exactly, yeah. The shiny suits
The
and the
shiny suit,
sideways goggles. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
he is that Jiggy era. But
the honey
as
video.
far as
Pure
career
Jiggy.
span, he is. He's not a big. He's how old is Jada? Goddamn.
46.
see, that's that
46.
juice.
Got to be in
That
his late
juice.
It's
40s.
the juice. The guy looks like right. He looks like he's in his late 20s.
Son was doing
Wasn't he
pull-ups
doing
like
pull-ups right
nothing.
after? Yeah.
Yep, he doing
Right after
pull-ups
the
right
show?
after.
75.
Like
Yeah.
nothing happened. It's like I still got 20 more hours on me. Like, man, go to sleep.
Yeah. 46 years old. I'm like,
So
God dang.
Rest in peace, DMX.
That's who I was
Yeah.
thinking. Somebody else on Rough Riders that was coming up, his peer on that.
But
Who
even
else was on
then,
the roster?
that's still his peers.
X would be able to
That's
hold
what
it.
I'm
Yeah,
saying. That's still technically his peers. That
X would win.
just their careers started a little earlier, but they're in that 10-year span because who was the DMX debuted on his big debut was on LL Cool J's track
4321.
4321 with other dudes that were already popping at the time, Method and Red, and Jada kind of belongs in that class. Now the spotlight was on them in the early 90s, and then the Jiggy era switched off around like 97, 98. But I think if you fall anywhere in the 90s, even though stylistically they're different, they're still in that class. Jada's like the MOP class, the Who else? Fucking.
Yeah,
They're
but
not
my thinking
stylistically. I'm
is
just saying who was popping at the time. Like
right.
Pyro Munch, Most Def. They're very different. They're not the same type of
Lyricist
artists,
people.
but they were around, kicking around in the industry and having hits at around the same time as each other. Yeah. So he's in the class with those guys.
I don't know, but if they could do another verses, because they did him and Fabulous.
Nobody's gonna do another verses with Jada.
Not anymore.
Hell no.
Not
Nobody's getting
anymore.
on that stage with this shit.
Crowd control,
Stop.
ridiculous.
I
Nah,
used to think
nobody's
Black
getting
that's
on
was
one
that
like a
thing.
stage.
more polished MOP, but maybe I'm wrong.
That,
I
that
used
was
to
one
look at
thing I was
them like
noticing.
that.
Is the crowd stage, the crowd presence, in these concerts.
Stage
I'll,
presence.
I'll be watching it. It's different now. Some of these don't have the energy like how it was back when we were going to some of these concerts.
Phones.
The energy is sometimes just kind of
Phones.
not there.
Phone.
Yeah,
Phone.
yeah.
Too much stimulation, looking at 20 different things, you don't savor anything. It sounds
The
like an old
Jiggy,
head, but it's true.
the Jiggy era was the best era for music videos, for
Yeah.
artistry. Everybody had like different sounds,
I miss those music videos.
cameos, like in videos. You're like, oh, look at such and such rapper. They mess with so and then like Jiggy era was the best.
They
I
were
just
big
like the
big like
creativity.
it too. But it's like
2002, forget it.
we're gonna cross
The
the board
creativity was
now.
definitely there. Because I mean, just look at the music videos. They were using the thing the grid cheese with. How you make a video with the thing you grid the cheese with?
Get out of here. That's not what it was. All right, leave
Yeah,
Hype
that's how it was. It was that's
Hype
why the
Williams is
creativity
king.
is great. Because
Okay,
I do photography, so like using those weird objects in photography, you can get some weird pictures. So like just go and tap into back what they had.
that
They
was a
really
set.
had good stuff.
All right,
The set was good. I'm not lying about it.
leave Hype Williams. Okay, shout out to Hype Williams, another Queens legend.
Yeah.
So what do we got for our hypotheticals this week?
um, I'll leave this one up to y'all. So I have a little political side. If you were president, you magically became president for whatever reason. The first day, what are you doing in office? What are you changing? What are you, all of that? Or we could go, if you could live in any fictional world from any movie, TV show, cartoon, whatever, where would you live? How y'all want to do it?
The fun one, the cartoon world.
Okay.
I'm not trying to solve.
You might as well leave.
Derek, start us off. What
Oh no,
fiction?
Nikki already said she wanted the cartoon world, but you already had the idea. Go ahead.
Well, damn. Which cartoon world would I like to live in? I would. Well, no, that's too close to my real life. I was gonna say, "Hey Arnold," but I'm like, that's New York right now.
Yeah.
Let's see. Doug ain't it. That's too close to real life. I need something. Rocco's Modern Life. It's goofy and it's weird and funny, and I'm a '90s Nick kid. I'll do Rocco's Modern Life.
Okay. Okay. I would have to say, well, I'll stick to the Nickelodeon theme. Um, Avatar. Avatar: The Last Airbender. I would love to be in that world and be a bender. Um, yeah, have some kind of power. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I'm a this, and I think that would be great. Reg, what
Cool.
about you?
Okay. I would like, and I know it's not a cartoon,
No, that's fine.
but it would be like different world.
Oh, Hillman University.
Yes, Hillman
Oh, the
University.
experience.
Mm,
You could do that
Oh
now.
man.
You could do that right now if you want to.
different.
No, you're not hanging out on
Yeah.
campus.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
You're
No,
not
no.
doing
You'd be the cool professor. It
Okay, all right.
doesn't
Okay.
cross the line. No, I'm kidding.
For sure.
Dang.
Yeah,
See,
I'm
you guys-
never too far away from that. But if I was gonna do, if I because that's always been in my head, ever since that show, I was like, damn man, I want to go to school. That's probably one of the
Yes.
reasons why I went to school in the first place. If it
Yeah.
wasn't for that, I'd have probably went and learned how to be an auto mechanic.
Mm.
You
Yeah,
know,
man. That was a good show. Very good
Yes, it
show.
was. It's on Amazon, I believe. It's on Amazon.
Yep.
It's on
Yep.
that,
Been
yeah,
watching it.
the whole
Mhm.
series.
Yeah,
I've been
I
watching it the
enjoy it.
whole pandemic, man.
I would watch it here and there. I really enjoyed it, and I remember rewatching, especially the early seasons. I enjoyed Denise being on there.
With
The
Denise,
little,
I like the
the little
Denise
skit.
era.
I enjoyed her, and but the
Yeah.
later years were dope too. Of course, they were fantastic. But I was like, oh, I kind of forget she was on that show sometimes because it's about it
Yeah.
became Whitley and Dwayne. They were like the front and center characters.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
yeah,
Shout out to Cree Summer.
yeah, word. She's
Ooh,
dope. She's so dope.
Cree,
Yeah, she's in like
my
20
first
different
crush.
cartoons.
Cree still got it. Yeah, man.
Mm.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, that was good.
Mm.
Good. That was good TV back then. Good TV.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Yes.
I think
Don't
well,
scan
it
it.
doesn't come even close to it. It's okay. Like Dear White People is kind of.
What about Grownish? Is Grownish kind of? It seems like
Grownish is okay,
I haven't
I
watched
like
it.
but you know what? It's definitely not. It won't appeal as much
Hmm.
as different world because a lot of the stuff that they talk about, you kind of feel that it's off.
Mm.
You know what it is? Because they come from a affluent family, there are a lot more affluent type problems.
Mm.
Okay,
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's kind of like, some of this stuff I can't really relate to,
that was
or
people.
I can get down with.
That was the beef with Black. Yeah, Black as AF, right? Black as F. That
Yeah,
was people's beef with
I
that.
yeah.
don't know. That show was good. I just didn't like the kids. The kids were so disrespectful to their dad, and I'm like, he ain't beating them. Like you just let your kids talk to you like that? This ain't black
That's
enough
the
at all.
affluence.
This, yeah,
That's
I
what
don't
you do when
know.
you make it to
Boring.
the top. You don't hit nobody.
I guess, but it's like remember the only reason y'all kids are eating is because I'm providing the money.
That's
Okay,
right
so
now.
Mm.
if y'all think y'all could do this, what I do, then go live. Daddy, I need your credit card. It's like no, 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 no. It's like yeah, I don't know. That show did
I
kind of rub
couldn't
me
get
the
into
wrong
it.
way. I couldn't get. I mean, it was okay for a one time watch, but I heard it didn't get renewed. But it's like you know what, Kenya
You can
Barris,
see why.
he could do better. Yeah.
Yeah,
You can see why it didn't get renewed.
I couldn't get into it, and not for the reasons that people were kind of going in on it on the internet.
No,
The whole, I thought,
they're not black at all. I'm like,
I'm like,
No,
you
that's
don't
not
do
why I
that.
didn't get into it.
don't do that. Exactly. Cut it out, guys.
Cut it out.
Please.
Like
Don't.
you know,
Don't.
there are different types of black people, guys. But
Right.
for me, it's just like it just wasn't funny and engaging to me. I was like, I wanted to like it, I really do, because Blackish is enjoyable. It's kind of
Blackish.
funny, but in a good way. So I like Blackish, but I just could not get into Black as fuck AF. I just was like, it feels like watered down Blackish, and which was already kind of corny, and it just felt more corny. So I just couldn't get into it.
You know, Netflix dropped that other show with the other comedian that was actually pretty good. Oh man.
Not that Jamie Foxx foolishness. I'm sorry.
No, not the Jamie Foxx one, the other one. The other
Uptons with Mike
Mike
Epps.
Epps?
Mike Epps. Yeah, I
That
actually like
was
that one. That was
I
good.
like that one.
That was funny.
Yeah,
That
with
got
Wanda
canceled?
Sykes
I
and
thought that
everything.
was renewed.
No, it's
Oh,
good.
it got
No, it's
renewed.
good.
It got
No, it's
renewed.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good.
Yes, I
Yeah,
think it's
I would-
Emmy nominated too.
Really?
Oh, is it?
I believe so. Yeah. Fact
Oh,
check
wow.
me.
I didn't
on
watch the Jamie Foxx one. Everyone said the Jamie
Yeah.
Foxx one was
I
garbage.
watched one episode. Okay, I tried to give it some credit ahead of time before watching it. Yeah, the first episode,
I was like, oh,
I'm sorry, guys, for recommending that. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and cancel that recommendation.
I could barely get through half. I was just walking by and it was on in the background. And I was like, what the hell is this? Like, what is this? Why? Jamie's too talented for stuff like this. Come on,
Mhm.
poor right.
DB, did you say your fictional world?
Oh,
Sure.
dang, you guys had some good ones. It would have to be from Dragon Ball Z. You guys know that like thing in
That
the
was my
cloud,
second pick.
Kami's house. Yeah, where the hyperbolic chamber is and everything. So I have the infinite food. I could train and come out. It's like, dang, I got a party to go to. Gotta go hit this hyperbolic chamber real quick. Come back, good to go. Got my dog drop by. The view is beautiful. I actually want to get a painting of the house with the clouds and then overlooking like a sunset. I'm actually gonna I want to get that commissioned for that because I always love the clouds and being in there. So that would have to be my spot. Yeah.
Look out
So
when a planet destructing fight happens. Okay, you gotta
no, I'm not even worried. Goku's gonna wish me
Freeze
back.
the
You know, it's gonna be an instant, and then Goku wish me back. I won't even know what happened, so it'll be good.
It's gonna be bad commentary. Yeah, I'm gonna have to switch my world because that wasn't a good choice. Not
Oh, go ahead. What you got?
It's crazy because it's like bad shit be happening, but I would probably either do Batman Beyond or Batman the animated series. But I'd have to be one of the smaller heroes or something.
Gizmo. That world is trash.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh.
Evil corporation chemicals those people. Like, damn. But I would live in a futuristic noir world like in the animated series is pretty dope. Like a mixture of the 40s and futuristic stuff. That's cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Just with the aesthetic. The animated series.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning into episode 12 of the podcast. I am your host, Derek, signing off.
Nick signing off.
Relative Alex, aka Funzy, signing off.
Relative Reg saying peace and be well.
All right, guys. If you enjoyed the episode, please comment and like and subscribe. And we will be taking a couple of weeks off. I have some travel to do, so we won't be able to record because I won't be here to record. So just a heads up if you don't see a couple podcasts. So we will catch you next week, though. Peace.
Later.